Greetings everybody, Maximus here. I hope you're all doing well wherever you may be all around this great big world of ours. I don't know if you noticed, but we're oh so close to that 50,000 subscriber mark. And the only way we can get there and beyond is if you subscribe to the channel. And you know I'm always grateful when you do. And besides, it's always free. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has activated the Civil Reserve Air Fleet, asking U.S. airlines and charter carriers to transport Afghan evacuees from locations in the Middle East and Europe to other areas of the world. On Sunday, Austin called for a first-stage mobilization of the Civil Reserve Air Fleet to perform airlift services. This stage is asking for a limited number of aircraft, 3 each from American Airlines, Atlas Air, Delta Airlines, and Omni Air, as well as 2 from Hawaiian Airlines and 4 from United Airlines for a total of 18 planes. Defense officials said Civil Reserve aircraft activated will not fly into the Kabul airport. They will be used for the forward movement of passengers from temporary safe havens and interim staging bases. Activating the Civil Reserve Air Fleet increases passenger movement beyond organic capability and allows military aircraft to focus on operations in and out of Kabul, the Department of Defense said. However, they said it does not anticipate a major impact to commercial flights from this activation. This latest mobilization means the Civil Reserve Air Fleet has now been activated for the 3rd time since it was created after World War II. The CRAF was established in 1951 as an emergency authorization to use commercial and charter planes to augment airlift and resupply missions. It was previously used during Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm in 1990, then again in 2003 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. The Defense Department and U.S. Transportation Command are the activating authority for the CRAF. The airlines volunteer for the program, which also involves the Department of Transportation. Commercial carriers retain their civil status under Federal Aviation Administration regulations, while U.S. Transcom exercises mission control via its Air Component Air Mobility Command. Airlines for America, the trade group for the major U.S. airlines, said on Saturday that it has been in communication with administration officials on the matter. U.S. carriers have been offering support as needed over the past week, and they remain in frequent communication with the U.S. government agencies and officials to determine any flight support needs. So what exactly is the Civil Reserve Air Fleet? It was formed after World War II. Following the war, the Allies split up Germany into East and West territories. The Russians, of course, had East Germany, and the Allies, the U.S., the U.K., and France, had the West. Russia met regularly with Britain, the U.S., and France after the war to coordinate occupation policy between the varying zones. However, Russia stopped cooperating in early 1948 when it found out that the other 3 nations were secretly planning to create a new German state of their own. Then in June of 1948, the U.S. and the U.K. introduced a new currency, the Deutschmark, into their zones, which included West Berlin. However, they kept this from the Soviets because they wanted to regain economic control from Russia and quell the black market that was running rampant, as well as bring in aid under the Marshall Plan, the U.S. strategy to rebuild Europe. But the problem was that Berlin was located within Russia's East Germany, so the Soviets took advantage of this, leading to the first Berlin crisis of the new Cold War. Then on June 24, 1948, Soviet forces blockaded all road, rail, and water routes into Berlin's Allied-controlled sector, stifling the vital flow of food, coal, and other supplies. Soviet troop numbers dwarfed those of the Allies, which had drawn down after the war, so there was little the Allies could do about it militarily. But the Soviets were unable to block Allied airspace. So U.S. and U.K. forces took to the skies to get supplies to the Allied sectors. On June 26, 1948, the U.S. launched Operation Vittles, which the U.K. later joined. It was the biggest aerial resupply mission ever embarked upon. The Allies also imposed their own counter-blockade, restricting trade with East Germany and East Berlin. The airlift was a daunting task at first. More than 2 million Berliners were relying on the aid, which included much-needed food, fuel, and medicine. Over time, though, the operation became more efficient, and the number of airdrops increased. At one point, Air Force and Navy planes were landing at Tempelhof Airport every 45 seconds. On Easter Sunday, April 17, 1949, the constant procession of planes managed to deliver 13,000 tons of cargo, including the equivalent of over 600 railroad cars of coal, all in one day. But meanwhile, things weren't going so well for the Soviets. The airlift had been going on for 10 months, and the Allies had proven they could keep it up indefinitely. The Russians had gained a reputation as bullies because of their blockade. On top of that, an Allied counter-blockade was causing severe shortages in the Russian sectors, leading to fears of a public uprising within East Germany. Finally, the Soviet Union gave in and lifted the blockade on May 11, 1949. However, the airlift itself didn't end until September 30th, just in case the Soviets decided to change their minds. So ever since then, the U.S. commercial aviation sector has been called upon by the U.S. government at times of war and crisis, or whenever an emergency airlift bigger than the capacity of the U.S. military was needed. The CRAF has two main segments, international and national. The international segment is further divided into long-range and short-range sections, and the national segment satisfies domestic requirements. Here is a list of all carriers associated with the Civil Reserve Air Fleet. I won't read them, but you can pause if you want to. Well, that's the story of the U.S. Civil Reserve Air Fleet. Did you know about it? Did you forget about it? Let me know down below. Before we go, I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Chuck Weber for his donation, again, to the Buy Me a Coffee app. Chuck is a generous repeat offender, so thanks, Chuck. And if you'd like to support the channel to help me continue to bring you timely and relevant videos, you can do so by the Buy Me a Coffee app, or even get yourself some sweet Maximus merch in the links down below. Well, that's all I have for now. But on your way out, please be sure to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell. And remember, leave the rubber on the runway and your troubles on the ground. And I will see you next time in the air. Yeah, this is Maximus.